Has the coronavirus affected your life? My name is Linda Marshall from Marshall Connects, and I want to talk to you today about the kind of fear that the coronavirus is evoking in all of us. I'm sure everyone would answer that question that yes, the coronavirus has affected our life unbelievably. This is something we have never ever experienced before, and we're still in the midst of it. And so it's very, very frightening. And I want to share with you some tips to help you work through some of this fear. So what happens when the government buildings became shut down, grocery stores are limiting people, you're wanting to or needing to wear a mask, they're only allowing so many people into the stores and the pharmacy, and we're basically stuck at home. This social distancing, I also call it physical distancing, is really difficult, and we are all feeling it. And so I'm hoping that in the next few minutes we can chat about this, and I can share with you some opportunities for you to make a difference and make your life a little bit more positive as we work through this together. So the first thing that we have to do that's important is start to really understand what we're feeling. So emotions are huge in our lives, and fear is a very big emotion. And so for most of us, including myself, I felt that fear and close to panic when things started happening with the virus. And so how did I learn to manage that? I had to start to realize I need to balance my fear with logic. I need to really understand what was behind this fear and what was causing it. And so when we do that, we're starting to look at the facts. We really want to look at fear versus facts. And as we become more empowered and we have more information, it helps us to quell some of those fears. Now, it still doesn't make us always feel comfortable, but when we learn to manage our emotions, we're a much better version of ourselves. So if I allow fear to manage me, I will be nervous, uncomfortable, maybe snapping at my children, my family members, maybe really feeling withdrawn, wanting to sit down, be by myself. But if I say to myself that I know why this is happening, I think about it in a rational way, and I won't allow fear to rob the joy that I have in my life. So I talk a great deal in some of my engagements about joy and the importance it plays. It plays a very important role in working through challenging times like this. And so I want you to realize that we can control the emotion of fear. We can control all of our emotions. And that's really what emotional intelligence is all about. And again, if we learn to do that, it's not something that's going to happen just like that. It definitely won't, but it's a practice. And we can learn to do that through neuroplasticity. So we have this capability in our brain to retrain ourselves and the way we do things. And by doing that, we do it step by step. And we talk to ourselves, we walk ourselves through things. And if we make a mistake or we want to do something differently, we have to go back and practice it. So it's really important. So I've got a few key notes here I've jotted down to share what you can do to manage the virus. So you want to regulate your emotions, manage your emotions. And as you feel fear and you're uncomfortable, face them. We don't want to run from our emotions. They're very important. So we face our emotions and we ask ourselves, why am I feeling this way? So it's really getting to know your emotions, recognizing them, understanding them. Once you recognize them and understand them, it's much easier to manage them. So as we get these feelings, whether it's fear, anxiousness, whatever, our emotions send us important signals. And of course, fear is one. But once we are rational and we take that emotion and logic and we balance it, it's much easier to cope. And so it's really, as I said earlier, it's really separating fear from the facts. So do not allow too much of the newspaper and the news to really, I guess what I want to say is drive you on a negative path. Yes, you want to hear, you want the facts, but you don't want to live every day tied to the newspaper or to social media telling you about all this negativity. So to change your fears, you want to really harness your emotions and look in a real positive way at how you can make a difference. And when you do that, you're going to find that you're able to balance your emotion and logic. And so you don't let fear. You may feel fear, but you will start to learn to understand and break it down and realize what's happening. When we can do that, it makes everything much different. We also have to realize that right now we're totally for most of us, out of our comfort zone. And if you're out of your comfort zone, you don't feel quite like yourself. So where we are right now, we've never been before, and it's quite normal to be out of your comfort zone. So we really want to keep that in mind and realize that we're learning new things. And how can we work through this is getting to know our emotions and really realizing that how we are right now is not going to be forever, that this will pass, and hopefully sooner than later. But when we learn these skills, it will really help us work through these challenging times much more quickly and easier. So that's important. So if you accept the fact that change is just around the corner, that this too will end soon, it's going to help you realize that you're going to be stronger and you're going to work through this. And as we do this, we become more resilient. So that's a positive thing, a positive outcome that will come from this if you're able to manage your fears. And so we want to be careful that we put things into our lives that make us feel more comfortable when we're feeling that fear or when we're feeling the anxiety. So it might be talking to a close friend or sitting with your children or a loved one. And so sometimes if you're in a home where you're all isolated together, that works. Sometimes you've had too much of them. So it might mean isolating yourself a little bit, taking a break, having a bath, sitting, reading a quiet book, really regenerating yourself so that when you go back with those people you're spending all that time with, you're feeling good about your relationships. Because when we're not happy with how we're interacting with others, it really affects our behavior as a whole. We want to be doing that. And don't be afraid to call a friend or whatever to practice anything calming, mindfulness, all those things are really helpful. But one thing you really want to keep in mind, and that is emotions guide all we do. So when we manage our emotions, we're in control of our destiny. And again, something that if you're not familiar with it, you can learn to do that. And steps at a time, it makes all the difference. So here's just a few tips if you're feeling negative emotions, some things that you can do to help you feel better and stronger in your day. And the first thing is establishing a routine. Everyone's saying, get out of bed, have your shower, get out of your pajamas, establish a routine. And stick to that routine and you'll feel much more comfortable. What were the routines you had before you were isolated? Go back to some of those comfort zones. We don't need to do them all. Maybe we don't have to do everything, but we do want to get up out of bed and separate our time from being in our pajamas and that relaxed mode to in a more productive mode. That's important. And you want to stay physically and mentally active. And something I can share with you is that I make sure that I have at least 30 to 60 minutes of physical activity a day. And because I always have, but even more so, plus I try to walk because it helps pass the time and I can focus on positive things when I'm doing that. And I'm also doing something for myself, creating these wonderful endorphins that make me feel so much better. And while it's hard sometimes to get into the routine of exercising or walking if you don't normally do it, just push yourself a little bit every day. Say, okay, I'm only going to do it for 10 minutes. And then next thing you know, when you're getting ready to stop, challenge yourself for another 10 minutes. And before you know it, you'll be doing it for at least 30 minutes. Those are things that will really help you make a difference. As I said earlier, keeping connected with others is essential, and you get to decide how much or how little, and that's important. But you want to find time for yourself. And as I said at the very beginning about getting out of your comfort zone, feel that you're uncomfortable. Talk about the discomfort and realize what it is. And I can tell you, you'll be so much more grateful if you do that now when you're out of this situation. So I can tell you there's many other things you can do, and just trying to keep this short, just a brief little information session to share with you a little bit about how you can fight the fear of the coronavirus and how you can make it through to the very end and be much more resilient than you were before it started. So remember, Abraham Lincoln once said, "This too shall pass." And during this unprecedented time, I really encourage you to practice positive self-talk and continue to smile and laugh and be the very best version of yourself. It's been my pleasure speaking with you today and sharing. And if you're interested and you'd like to come back and get some more positive information, some positive blogs, some more motivation, you can come back to marshallconnects.com and look under EI blogs, and you'll find more than 200 motivating blogs that will positively change your life. Thank you and have a great day.